Hi there, welcome back to the archive. So like I said, I want to share some poetry. I'm returning to Children of Promise, um, African American literature and art for young people. And so I've been thinking about the attack on education. I think they're getting rid of the Department of Education altogether in the United States. And again, if you're connecting the dot, it makes sense, right? It's kind of sad. Imagine living in a country where the leadership feels so inferior that people learning and education is a threat. It's so sad. That's so sad to me. Like, how embarrassing. But it's nothing new, right? It's nothing new. And so I wanted to read a section of Francis E.W. Harper. It's from Sketches of Southern Life. 1872, okay? It's called Learning to Read. Very soon, the Yankee teachers came down and set up schools. But oh, the Rebs did hate it. It was aging their rule. Our masters always tried to hide book learning from our eyes. Knowledge didn't agree with slavery. 'Twould make us all too wise. But some of us would try to steal a little from the book and put the words together and learn by hook or crook. Well, the northern folks kept sending the Yankee teachers down, and they stood right up and helped us, though the Rebs did sneer and frown. And I longed to read my Bible. Precious words it said, but when I began to read it, folks just shook their heads and said, there is no use trying. Oh, Chloe, you're too late. But I was rising 60. I had no time to wait. So I got a pair of glasses and straight to work I went and never stopped till I could read the hymns and testament. Then I got a little cabin, a place to call my own, and I felt as independent as the queen upon her throne. So this is from Francis E.W. Harper, from Sketches of Southern Life, 1872, and it's called Learning to Read. And so I'm thinking about this in 2026, where now you have black rappers telling you not to read, where you have white folks, men in the manosphere, talking about reading is corny and it's the biggest threat and it's a waste of time. If it was such a waste of time, why do you care? If reading was such a waste of time and useless, then why do you care? Why are you getting rid of the Department of Education? Because like this says, they don't like when you're getting too wise. They want the masses to be dumb. That's ableist. I apologize for that. To be, what is the word? Numb is probably a better word, right? If you just you're too busy working and you don't read, you don't know anything, well, how can you ever rise up? And so I just wanted to share that poem. Again, it's by Francis E.W. And pay attention to how it ends, right? The last sentence, as a queen upon her throne. They don't want women to feel like queens on their throne. And hence the education part, right? Women with knowledge, you see the attack, especially on black women, who are some of the most educated classes especially in the United States of America, right? They don't want women going to university. If they could, they would just not even send us to schools at all. And you see that, right? The use of certain religions don't like women learning. Definitely don't want you doing sports. I've been watching Love and Basketball here, and yesterday I was watching the behind the scenes and the making of the movie Love and Basketball. And you see Gina was an athlete. She's a ball player. And that was basically Love and Basketball was her story. And you hear, I think she did an interview with Cheryl Swoops, right? Legendary. I think she was one of the first women drafted into the WNBA. But you see that like these types of women who play sports, women who go to school, women who challenge their parents and speak up, they're very much so not liked, right? And so it made sense when Gina was talking about how hard it took for her to even get that movie up because nobody supported it. She said she got 0. It was just rejection. I understand, right? But you have to fight for those. And so knowledge is power. Keep reading, keep learning, keep engaging, keep sharing information. Because again, if it didn't have some sort of power, the powerful would not be taking it away. Right? Don't take reading for granted. I know that even within the Black community, people will see reading as a waste of time, but it has always been an act of resistance, right? Especially from during slavery times when the masters would ensure that enslaved folks didn't know how to read. It made sense. Why? Why wouldn't you want the enslaved knowing how to read? Because that was part of the tools of liberation. So as we end Women History Month, big up all of the women and girls who are pushing to go to school, who are fighting to go to school, especially in the global South and even here in North America. Those who have to stay at home when they get their periods because they don't have access to pads or sanitary products. Those who have endometriosis and fibroids and other chronic illnesses that affect women, that the medical industrial complex is kind of just lagging and dragging its feet to help us figure it out. All of those things, women who end up pregnant and have to drop out of school. There's so many different reasons why we stay out of school, right? And again, going back to Love and Basketball, you see that there, where Monica is driven. She wants to play ball. She wants to go to school. She wants to go to Europe. And Q is kind of like, it hurts. It bruises a lot of male ego, right? Like, no, your role as a woman is to be here for me, right? You hear him say that. You should have been here for me. You should not have gone home. I needed you. Male entitlement. I needed you, right? And now since you weren't there, I get to move on and find another woman because you didn't cater to my needs. A woman like Monica is gonna go to school. In Love and Basketball, you see that they still get together and have kids. But often that fairy tale is not for everybody. That was not my... Love and Basketball felt very much like my story when I was in high school and university. Which is why I knew for me, I went the opposite direction. I'm not going to beg you. I'm going to school, right? I'm going to live my life. Because by the time I want to be a mother, I want to be a mother by choice. Right? Not because somebody wanted me to be a mother. I want to be able to live my life. Selfish as that may seem, I don't think that's selfish. And if it is selfish, it's all towards an act of liberation, right? So stay in school, educate yourselves if you can. That's not always formally. You can get online is so much free content, right? Because then that does become elitist. A lot of people cannot afford to go to university. A lot of people can't even afford to go to primary school in a lot of places in this world. School is expensive for a lot. And so know that, like, with this access to the internet, you could still educate yourself for free. I post all of my videos are free, right? This is a lot of content. That's why I like sharing books and excerpts from what I'm reading, because that gatekeeping doesn't make sense to me. Keeping this information in the ivory tower doesn't make sense. Share it with the world. Give it as much access so it can travel as possible, because I do think knowledge is power. I grew up believing that, and reading has made me see through a lot of bullshit, which is why a lot of, especially men who are patriarchs and think women should play small, they don't like women being educated. Okay? So again, this is Frances E.W. Harper. Very soon, the Yankee teachers came down and set up school. And those rebs did hate it. Knowledge didn't agree with slavery. So, and when she learned to read, she got herself a little cabin, a place to call my own, and I feel as independent. They want you to be dependent on men right now. Independence for women is yuck, gross. Why? Because you become a queen on your throne. Women are not supposed to be queens. So, until next time, in solidarity.